This Tuesday it's time for The Docket. Edwin Obuya, Fanya Mambo Kinudia in the Hizo, as in the house. Gentlemen, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know. Shall we begin with today's headlines with
Masengeli?
Yeah, Masengeli. So now
he's a man from Bungoma, Bukosoland.
He has withdrawn the security of the judge who pronounce the sentence. Amekata.
Ni impunity to Jeff.
Total.
Then, some of these things are the things that make us wonder why the president makes some promises. Because the president is on record, not once, not twice, not thrice, that never again will he be using a justice system
against the people.
Yes, and to play politics.
Yeah.
What CJ Komo was saying yesterday, Maraga said it.
Correct.
The same steps of Supreme Court. So, and the more things change, the more they remain the same. Because why would this is 2024? You've broken the law. You've been sentenced, and then instead of honoring that sentence, you are now taking action against the person who was sentenced to you. And we saw it coming. Because when Mugambi complained openly in court that, there are people who are calling his security to know where his whereabouts, that's intimidation. And they want to make sure that the judges then do not make rulings or sentences or judgments that are against the public officials, despite the fact that they obviously have broken the law. It doesn't augur well with Kenya. It doesn't augur well with our justice system.
Yeah.
And the fact is that once you do that, then if Masengeli does it, what stops me from doing it?
Exactly.
What stops Obuya from doing it? Because if that is the trend, then be lawless.
I thank the IG for doing what he did, because this is good for Mother Kome. She is the one who came and sailed wild goose chase.
Hot air.
Hot air. And a lot of unjudicial language when a government came into place whose election was still in doubt. I mean, the judiciary appeared to have taken sides, and they spoke in a way that judges have never spoken. We've never had a CJ speak like this. I am happy that this government has hurt the most the people who campaigned for it, the people who voted for it, and the people who put it in power. Starting with Mount Kenya, where very many people voted for it. Those are the ones who are crying the most. They are the ones who hate it the most. Then coming now all the way even to the judiciary that rubber stamped and said wild goose chase, hot air, and all those things that were unjudicial. It is a good thing for them to taste their own medicine. And it is a good thing for them to know what kind of government they bequeathed unto us. And now, when we come and tell them that there is need to change this government, come the next general election, I think we shall be preaching to the choir. So I am happy that this is happening. I am happy that the person who told us wild goose chase is the one who is complaining about this government. I am happy that the Chief Justice is looking for justice in this country. That's a very good place to be. She's crying for justice.
The Chief Justice.
Yes, the Chief Justice is crying for justice. And all the justices with a J in their car, a red one, moving, are crying for justice. That's a good place to be. Because then it explains to them what kind of government they put in place and what they should expect from the kind of government they put in place. It's a very beautiful morning for me from where I sit.
It's not Masengeli. This is the executive, because we know in this country that nothing happens without the knowledge and the nod of the executive. If President Ruto did not want the security officers for the Judge Mugambi to be withdrawn, the security officers will be there. Exactly. And we have seen this game over and over and over. If even today, if an MP is opposed to the position the government has taken and he speaks against it, his security will be withdrawn. It's just the same old intimidating ways of trying to play politics, trying to do governance, and it doesn't work. We've seen it doesn't work. And how I wish that, like Fanyamabo says, I'm not. I don't want to be cynic. That cynic and say it's good for Martha Koome. We saw what she said when she was ruling on the petition, election petition. Many people did not think that it was she used the right words, but we are where we are, and I'm glad that she's not timid. The timid Martha Koome we thought she would be. I'm glad that she's speaking out on these issues. I'm glad that even when the judiciary budget has been cut, some thought that they are not going to speak out, but she's speaking out, and we need more and more people to speak out on these issues. Mugambi cannot speak out. Judge Mugambi cannot. Is it a judge or a magistrate? He can't speak out because judges and magistrates speak from the bench. And these things happen in political arenas. And so the person who is supposed to defend the judges, the person who is supposed to make sure that those people who are giving out justice are then guarded and safeguarded is Martha Koome, who is the president of the Judicial Service Commission. Yeah. That's the only person that can speak out and speak for the judges.
Yesterday's headline, actually, in one of the papers, he's just come back from Germany. And, the proposed 250,000 jobs for Kenyans are, Kenyans should now start getting their Schengen visas. We go to Germany because there's jobs waiting for us.
Das Präsident kommt aus Deutschland. Hat gesagt, dass es gibt Leute. I speak very good German, let me tell you, Jeff.
You do, clearly.
Those people are not like us. There is no country in the world that would open up its borders and say bring us 250,000 people that carelessly. It doesn't happen, let alone Germany. I think somebody needs to be snatching the mic away from our president sometimes. You just read, we need to hire somebody when his job description is reading the mood of the president. When he's just about to make a serious mistake like that one, they switch off the mic and then they pretend electricity was gone. And then when he's done with the statement, they switch it on. Because now you can imagine him making that statement and then Germany coming and saying, no, it is untrue.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing. And this is where the truthful man is enjoying, because he comes and says, unajua sitaki kuwadanganya. Simwache tu niseme ukweli. Unajua tumezoea kudanganywa. So he's being hit even by his own deputy.
Yeah.
I think the president needs to stop campaigning and start delivering, because he's still in a campaign mode. He needs to stop making promises to people. It's not a good time to make other promises. He should just have come from Germany, and I don't know. It wasn't necessary. That was a huge mistake on his part. And unfortunately, tomorrow we shall hear something else that I don't know. I think Kenyans now, what you voted for. By experience, now, we were telling, Uhuru was telling us, even he spoke in Kikuyu. He said, Musichague, but people did not listen. Now they understand from experience, and they can be able to say, we made a mistake. That's the beautiful thing about it.
We've been told that over and over again. We are being forced to fact check each and every statement the president makes, which is not a very good place to be, even for a journalist. Because as my president, I would want to believe that when president says we have secured 250,000 jobs to go to Germany, it should be factual. It should be factual. For you to say that as a president, and then to be, fact-checked by on Twitter, on X,
or by BBC,
by not even BBC had already written the story that BBC, like most of us, had gone with what the president had said, because the president's word should mean something.
Yeah.
So you want to believe that when the president says ABCD is happening, it should be happening. You really want to believe your president. BBC had written the story and said Kenya secures 250,000 jobs, and Germany said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? There's nothing like that in that contract that we signed.
Right.
And they said, like any other country, if you want to come to Germany, you'll have to go through each and every step for you to secure a visa to go and work in Germany. There's nowhere there is written 250,000. So it can be 20 people only to go to Germany if they meet the criteria of going to work to Germany. And it has happened over and over, Jeff, because each and every statement the president makes is kind of controversial. Even if the president told me that today, tomorrow is Wednesday, people will want to say, are you sure? Where is that coming from?
You have to double check.
Yeah, because it's just because it is the president who has said. And Gen Zs told him these things. They were asking him on X, why do you lie? You know, why do you lie?
Yeah.
And he's telling himself that, it's only that you pick one or two, three things that I've said that are not could be untrue. But we are still asking, why do you lie as a president? Because, Jeff, somebody was asking in our WhatsApp group, why, as journalists, do you fact check some of these things when the president says? And I was defending journalists and saying, until recently, it was unimaginable for you to fact check the president. Unimaginable, because when the president said, his word was law. When the president said, tomorrow tunataka hii barabara yanze kujengwa, the word was law. Ministers will come and tractors will be on the road. But today we are told that you launch today, tomorrow again, after 3 months you go and relaunch the same project that you launched. And so it has become very difficult even for practicing journalists to report what the president and the government is saying. Very difficult.
I think he's taking a page out of the Trump playbook.
Alternative facts.
Exactly. Alternative facts. Speaking of Ricky G, Fanya Mambo?
Yes.
Ricky G, he skipped a presidential function the other day, and the people were not happy because it was in his backyard.
You see, sometimes you don't want to sit somewhere and then people will lie. And he's a truthful man. So I think the truthful man was avoiding lies. But as I told people, the president and his deputy have parted ways a long time ago. They are only conveniently there because these are not the days when the president could fire the deputy the way he wanted.
On the 1 o'clock news.
And sometimes I had a joke about the Somalia president saying, I can fire my deputy for 10 minutes and then I can return him back and just to see if my powers to fire and hire are still there. I think it's a high time people stopped being pretentious. I think the goose of him being impeached is almost there. And that's why they are raising Kindiki. I said on this station that they are going to impeach Rigiji. And they are going to replace him with Kindiki Kithure. Because they are marked for 2027. The only thing is that the president for the first time wants to split Mount Kenya into Meru and then the rest of Mount Kenya. And just try to see if he can get the rest of the country plus Meru so that he secures a win in 2027. But his calculations are wrong. So Rigiji is not in a good place. And the president is also not in a good place with Rigiji. And I think it's a high time they stopped lying to us that there is anything such as a Kenya Kwanza government. Because what exists now is different people occupying positions in government. And that was not the last one. I think he's going to miss many others. He's going to miss many other functions that are going to be attended by the head of state. Yes, he's going to miss many. So that was a rehearsal of how to miss. Yeah.
It's a precursor.
The church service that happened in Nairobi here, where President attended and Ichungu attended and Sakaja attended, and you saw the salvos that was being thrown at Rigiji.
Yeah.
Even if I am Rigiji, after hearing those salvos that have been thrown at me, and then you're telling me to go and sit at the same forum with the same people. Where my boss is, because me, I cannot answer them because my boss is there, but them they can speak because my boss has allowed them to speak. And again, this is what President Ruto said when he was coming to power, that never again will I allow my deputy kudharauliwa na the juniors.
Correct.
What is happening today?
Same thing.
Michungu was calling him a snake, and I'm saying cut it off. Yeah. Please cut it off.
His main job description is to make Rigiji uncomfortable.
Why?
That's
he
his
doesn't want
security
his job.
tenure. If he stops insulting Rigiji, he will lose his job as leader of majority in the National Assembly. That's his job. I mean, he was used to insult Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta throughout, to even promise Kenyans that they are going to, and he said it on national TV. We shall go to that land, we shall occupy that land, we shall divide that land into pieces. And people went and stole goats. This is the same man who is coming to insult the deputy president. And I can assure you, if he's directed tomorrow to start insulting Jeff, he will start on Jeff. And he will do it relentlessly. The problem is I keep going to Kikuyu, and even on Sunday I was there. And people are saying, we can't wait to send him home. And the problem is he's not listening. he should know, and he knows by now, that Kikuyu, by the way, if he's coming back as a nominated MP.
Ish.
Yeah. If he's coming back,
Yeah.
he might come back as a nominated MP. So
Parliament resumes today, right? This impeachment motion.
Yes.
You think it's going to happen with the Shuma there forwarding it, fronting it?
Not necessarily Chungwa, but I was one of those people who thought that the president, William Ruto, will not go the whole hog, will not go the distance and try to bring the impeachment motion against Rigathi. But from the sentiments, from what you hear, from the vibe that is coming out, I think that impeachment motion is coming. Remember, it was there already. I think it was Ruku or somebody who was trying to collect the signatures. Right now, I'm told there's an MP from Kiambu County who is sponsoring that motion. He's already starting to collect signatures, and so it might actually come. It might actually. I never thought when Fanyamambo was saying that it's coming. We saw these things during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, and Uhuru never tried to go the full hog of trying to impeach Ruto. And people will tell you that he never had numbers, but he had numbers. Remember, BBI passed in both houses, and BBI needed that threshold that you need.
was a gentleman.
That you need for impeaching a deputy president. And so, I think deputy president knows. He held a prayer meeting on Saturday at his place.
Yes, because he's a prayerful man.
He's a prayerful man, but I think he knows what is coming. Nikubaya, and so I think his only recourse is to whip the emotions of the people of the mountain,
right, and
tell them, I thought this will never happen. I thought we are part of this government. How I am being sidelined, it doesn't augur well with the mountain, and he has to speak against the message that is being preached by Ichungwas and company.
2 years, not 8 as in the other one. 2.
But I'm told nowadays marriages last around 1-2 years. So I think.
But I think when Julius Caesar was being knifed.
That was on the 15th of March.
When they sat and decided they want to knife Julius Caesar, many people knifed him.
Correct.
But it almost never hurt Caesar. He was a very strong man. Until he met Brutus, holding a knife ready to knife him.
And he said, Et tu, Brute.
I like that history. That even you, Brutus, because for those who don't know Brutus, Brutus was like Moi and Biwott. That everywhere you went, if you looked around, you'd see a short guy. And that was Biwott. He had Moi's heart. So when Caesar saw that Brutus was also out to knife him, that's what finished him. Are you aware that as we speak of the deputy president's impeachment, there is not even a single Kalenjin MP who is championing this cause, or who even holds a mic to speak about the removal of the deputy president? All the people being used and misused to impeach deputy president Rigathi Gachagua are coming from his own hometown. There are people who, for them to win the seats they won, they had to put Rigathi's photo and Ruto's photo for them to be elected as MPs in their own constituencies. And now they are holding the knife and saying that we want to knife you as well. And I think this is what is hurting Rigiji the most. He wakes up and he hears some people have met in Nyahururu, and they have decided that they are not with him, they are with Kindiki. And I told people here Kindiki will be made deputy president, and people thought I was joking. So this is where the biggest challenge is. And remember, from the beginning, whose Kindiki was Ruto's favorite choice.
Correct. He was choice number one.
Yes.
Choice number one.
So and what I like about William Ruto, in as much as there are many things I don't like about him, what he wants to do, he does. If he wanted to have Nani Kindiki for deputy, he will make him deputy. You will do anything, he will make him deputy. He gets his way. He does what he wants. So Rigiji, pole sana. I am not surprised if the mover of the motion is going to be from Mount Kenya.
Yeah.
In fact, even maybe from Nyeri.
He definitely will be from Mount Kenya.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Jeff, impeachment motions, they're supposed to be legal. But, mostly in Kenya, they're political. And so Kawira Mwangaza was, the other day, impeached without no amount of evidence of what the sins that it was alleged she had committed.
Right.
And so Rigiji can be impeached also without even, you need there's a threshold of impeaching an office holder. But those threshold, I'm sure when politics comes in and with the broad-based government, the people from the MPs from the Rift will not speak. Actually, most of them from the Rift are sympathetic with the Rigiji. Most of those from Nyanza, even with the broad-based, are sympathetic to Rigiji. But because of the order that will come from the house of the mountain, that we say, I want that man out, he will go out.
By the way, what's the procedure? I mean, how many votes do they need?
You need 2/3.
2/3, huh?
Yes, of the vote to impeach him. That's 2/3 of
290.
Yes.
290 plus.
Plus 50,
Plus-
whatever.
354.
Yes.
345.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's 349 actually, and then you need 2/3 of that, around inakuanga,
220, 230.
yes, 233.
Huh?
Watapata. They will get it.
Walipata.
Watapata.
And then
When the executive wants to push something, when BBI was being pushed, that was the time we were being told that Ruto had MPs. Ruto had Ruto akona MPs wote, so Uhuru ana MPs. But when Uhuru wanted BBI to be passed in the National Assembly, to be passed in the Senate, he got the numbers. And so, with the broad-based government right now, and give it to President Ruto, he's a consummate politician. On that one,
and actually on
he's
today's
caused an
standard,
A. Governors are up or down, but on politics, President Ruto is a perfect politician. He plays his politics so well. He has managed to bring in Raila Odinga. He has managed to, quieten the emotions, political emotions that were very high with the Gen Zs. And so, right now, if he was a good governor, was a good, somebody who then governs well, by now Ruto will be seeing massive changes in the country.
If you look at today's standard, page 3, it says that he says Parliament is his biggest ally. And it is true.
he has neutralized it.
And I think it is true because you see mahali kulitoka 2 million bado kuna zingine ya kupitisha finance bill. So I think he knows that basket is never empty. That one for 2 million is never empty. And I like Koimburi for Kubora because he told people that 2 million was given. And later the DP actually confirmed it. So
each got 2 million.
Yeah.
Each.
Only to make our lives horrible and to kill the children that were lost, who lost their lives on the streets. Kenyans, if any of you will queue and vote for anybody who voted yes, then the problem is your head. It cannot be anything else. If someone will wake up and queue on that day of the elections and return to parliament a person who voted yes for the finance bill, because as I've always told you, this is a person who was there saying you would rather have them shot and dead and killed and buried, but we will pass this thing and we will take 2 million. If anybody is going to vote back an MP who did that, then those people don't mean well for the country and they don't mean well for themselves. But for Rigiji, it's a question of time. His goose is being cooked. Sasa wameinua, they keep kuinua Kindiki. Rigiji will be dropped.
A day in politics is way too much. It's way too much.
It's like a year.
Things can change, pop, and then Kawanjiku again will find himself in parliament. Even after saying that, Mimi, I know you voted for me, but Ichungwa stood with me, so I'm going with where Ichungwa is saying.
Yeah. It's
irrespective of what my bosses as voters are saying.
By the way, that's my MP. Yeah?
Oh.
What? Wish you well. You will get Mbasale. Wish you well. You people have been seeing the Fanyamambos and a few of us in studio. You didn't know that there was a phase 2. And the phase 2 is that we are actually going out. It's just that Morara Kebaso has gone out earlier than ourselves. But we are going out. And we are going to be the agents of change. We are not waiting for a wave. I don't know to come from which one. People are thinking Rigiji will come with a wave. I don't know. I am telling you, it is my generation, the millennials and the Gen Zs combined, that will create the wave for 2027 and that will determine who will be voted for. You can imagine what one person is doing. That Morara guy, he's not pulling that many crowds, but he's trying. Now wait, because very soon, and I can tell you sooner than you can imagine, me and a few friends of mine who've been in these media spaces are also coming out. And we are coming out as a team, and we are going to Kenyans, and we are reminding them, you are not making this mistake again. So as politicians are doing their hesabus, they are calculating with Raila in mind, Gachagua in mind, Ruto in mind. Let me advise you, start calculating with the bulk of the millennials and the Gen Zs in mind, because they are about to shape the narrative of this country. Watch this space.
Ruto is the ultimate politician. He sees 3 moves ahead.
That's the problem.
Huh?
Let me tell you, Jeff, that's what they're imagining. But there's one thing they are forgetting as we speak right now, Jeff. And what they are forgetting is that that person who sees 3 steps ahead did not foresee that young people coming with iPhones and water and a flag would occupy parliament. In fact, he was surprised. They started saying they've been funded by Russians. They said they've been funded by Uhuru. They said up to the times when they were doing abductions, they were still thinking that there is somebody who is bankrolling young people to be on the
Don't
streets.
forget Ford Foundation.
Including Ford Foundation.
And Ricky G.
And Ricky G. And then they got to a point where it became so confusing. How can people who are leaderless, tribeless, formless, come to the streets and do something that has never been done since independence? How can finance bill for the first time since independence be stopped in a country where the president is the master politician? There are so many things that these people have not seen, and they are going to see them, because this government, as I have always said, was prepared for the bodies of the Gen Zs. They were prepared with batons and sticks and tear gas to deal with the bodies of Gen Zs. And now the young people have refused to throw their bodies at them. We are throwing our brains at them. And they are not prepared for that.
The traction that those demos had attracted was so good, and the challenge will be to keep up the momentum, to keep up the momentum of because Jeff, it's like we are back where we were before Gen Zs. President is now China, Germany. This is in 2-3 weeks, in a month he has been to 2 countries. If he keeps up that. This is September. If he keeps up that, by December he will have gone to 10 countries.
Don't forget, there's the UNGA coming up.
Yes.
United Nations General Assembly.
Yes.
Si lazima
He
aende.
will go. We are back in churches. We are back to our usual politics.
Yes.
We are telling people to cut off the snakes right at the pulpit. And so even those priests and men of cloth who had said no politics in churches, they have relaxed. They have gone back to taking whatever they were taking to allow politicians to speak in churches. Remember, there was a time Rigiji wanted to introduce a politician to come and speak, and the church leaders told him, no, don't, just speak, wachie up. Saa hii wanaongea wote kwa church, they are throwing barbs at each other right at the pulpit. And so it's as if we've forgotten what happened. It's as if we have gone back to our usual selves. Tumerudi sasa true Kenyans. Tunaenda church, tunapiga siasa, kabla tuchukue bribe, tunaomba kwanza, we tell God, please, we pray for Kenyans, but allow us to take this bribe. and so we are back to where we are, and we just need to keep on pressuring these guys to make sure that whatever you are doing for us, it must be what we want for you to do for us, and it must be right that we are doing what you are doing for us. Unfortunately,
back to factory settings.
No, there's one thing people are thinking, and that's where they go wrong. They are thinking that the Gen Z energy was lost. And they are thinking that the Gen Z or the demonstrations that were on the streets have died. I have told people what has happened is that it has changed. And these people are like, you know what? You only think that the only time that we are angry with you is when we are on the streets. People are angrier now than they were when they went to the streets. But they've just chosen to let this government have its day.
Until what, 27?
And they've just chosen to let it have its day until 2027.
But
people will make their decision. And people will make their point known.
But we forget very quickly.
No, Jeff, people don't forget. Let me tell you, look at what has happened even in Endarasha. Our people are not happy.
Yeah, but
let me tell you, it's because the thing is, Jeff, how many bodies do you have? And how many times can you divide yourself? I mean, some of those people are still dealing. We are forgetting that there are people who were maimed for life. people who lost limbs and legs and people who were maimed for life. They don't have that energy to go back to the streets. But let me tell you, this revolution will take a life of its own.
I'm glad you brought up Endarasa because look, life has moved on. Who
Life
has talked about it?
Hasn't
Who
moved
has
on,
talked
Jeff.
about it?
You see, people are speaking about it.
Who?
People
Where?
are speaking about it on all their social media spaces because you see what happens. Everybody has a platform. And Jeff, not everybody is lucky to come to Hot 96 like myself. Not everybody is lucky to be on Citizen. So what they do is they pick up their phone. It is the only space they have. And they vent and they say what they think. Only that same person is probably employed by a Muhindi 8 to 5, so he has to go to work. And he cannot be demonstrating. I told people, this government makes 10 to 20 mistakes every day. So you cannot be able to demonstrate about Endarasha, and then you demonstrate about the lies about Germany, and then you demonstrate about... And in one day, DP ameitwa nyoka. The number of things that happen
and that was
under this administration in one day.
Yeah.
I told Kenyans, if you decide to do a demonstration about them, I mean, before you, unajua unachoka, by the way, ukifanya maandamano one day, mtu uchoka sana.
Yeah.
So umetoka maandamano ya Endarasha, unasikia kuna uongo ya Germany. Sasa unaanza tena kujipanga maandamano ya uongo ya Germany.
Na ingine ya nyoka.
Then unasikia kuna ingine ya nyoka. Then unasikia DP anaimpeachiwa.
But
So the thing is, I'm trying to say, it's not that people have lost the energy to be on the streets. They've realized that the problem is this government. Because you would demonstrate 7 times a day about 7 different things. And then tomorrow there will be another set of 7 demonstrations.
Obuya.
Unfortunately, the only language that this government listens to is demonstrations. Unfortunately. When you try to write letters, you try to tweet, you try to do all those, they will just see and move on. They unfortunately don't listen. Look at Adani. Look at Adani and JKIA. People have spoken about it. People have, even workers there have demonstrated. But what is happening? The government is as if they are not listening. The deal is going on.
Deal is done.
They are sending... actually, we are told that the deal was signed a long time ago.
Exactly.
They are just going through the processes.
Correct.
Adani is now in energy.
Ketrako.
Adani is now in Chief.
Chief.
Adani is going to be in my marriage. If by any chance I'm not, my marriage is not working, President will propose Adani to come and fix it. And so it's as if Adani wants to be in each and every sphere of our life. And you wonder why all of a sudden I never heard about Adani before, the JKA deal.
Yeah.
I've never heard about Adani before President Ruto came to power. So who is pushing this Adani narrative? Who is hell-bent on making sure that Adani is in each and every sector, in each and every sector of the country? And Kenyans have spoken. Kenyans have done public participation. Kenyans are telling the government, please stop. This is not right. The deal you are signing with Adani on JKIA is not right. The deal you are signing with Adani on Ketrako, we need to talk about it. This is so much shrouded in secrecy. What was Wandai telling us? It is on its final stage. The Ketrako one.
Imagine.
It is on its final stage. And so at times, speaking, because the only way you do it is through Mtandao and, we can't speak through MPs because 70% of MPs have no voice.
They 2 million.
70% of MPs wait for what is coming from either Raila Odinga or President William Ruto. Yeah. Actually 80.
And your MP waits for what comes from Ichungwa.
From Ichungwa.
After the case.
And so at times the only language that this government lists, and we are forced to do this. I don't know if it's just Kenya or Africa as a whole. We are forced to go on the streets each and every time we are not happy with anything. Because look at, for example, finance bill. People went to do public participation. 99% of the people who went for that public participation told MPs, stop this. Did they?
Nope.
Until we went to Kenyans literally went to parliament
to eat rice.
To eat rice until literally invaded parliament. That's when the president, and even then he was not listening. He came out that night wanting to kill each and every person.
Criminals, you're criminals.
And until the following day, I think the first lady prayed for him and told him, may the Holy Spirit guide you.
Yes.
And then that's when he came, and then we withdrew the finance bill. And so the only language that this government seems to listen to is demonstrations, unfortunately.
And there can only be so many.
And they can only be because, like Fanyamambo says, there are families which, their trajectory changed forever because of those demonstrations. There are families that lost loved ones
forever.
There are families, there are people that have no legs or no limbs because of those demonstrations.
And there are still some who have been abducted.
Yes.
And are being abducted.
And we still don't know where they are.
I am very happy, extremely happy, that we one day sat there and explained to this country how the stupid idea of bursary has been running. And I'm happy that 2 months later, the senator for Kiambu picked it up and quoted what was said on this show, word for word, in the National Senate.
So you're taking credit for it?
And we are happy that the speaker was even using our words like amalgamate on the 23rd of August. And we are happy that if it goes through, 106 billion will be saved. I think this show should take pride and be happy that some of the things we say here end up being taken up and they end up changing this country.
No doubt about it. That's what the docket is all about. Fanyamambo Kinuthia, Edwin Obuya. This is what we call
candid interviews with decision makers.